We bring in the CEO of Euro Pacific Capital, Peter Schiff. Peter, thanks for being with us.
Sure, thanks for having me on.
All right, around Christmas time, everybody likes to have a little extra change in their pocket. Peter's joining us from San Juan, Puerto Rico. But let's set the stage here. OPEC is considering cutting oil production. Obviously there's price pressure here, but what other reasons are behind this move?
Well, there are rumors now the price of oil is declining because they're saying that they're not going to cut production. And, I don't believe that OPEC is deliberately trying to drive the price of oil down to discourage U.S. production. I think that's very short-sighted. If that's their goal, it will backfire because the price is going to come back up. Any U.S. production that was discouraged will come back on stream, and OPEC would have lost a lot of money selling oil for less than it's worth. I think what's really going on is the global economic slowdown, the relative strength of the dollar, and the belief that the dollar is going to keep rising. That's what's driving oil prices lower. But I do believe that the U.S. economy is actually headed to recession, which means we're going to get more QE, not a rate hike. The dollar is going to turn around, and I think oil prices are headed back higher.
Now, crude oil is currently selling for just under $80 a barrel. Some analysts are saying if OPEC doesn't cut production, it could drop as low as $60 a barrel. Now, consumers and people like myself, gas station owners, would all love to see lower fuel costs. But is there a downside to this?
Well, I think we're actually below $75 a barrel right now. But I don't think it's going to last. As I said, even if oil prices do make it as low as 60, I don't know that that's going to happen. But even if it does, they're not going to stay down there because the factors that are suppressing the price right now will subside as the U.S. dollar turns around and resumes its long-term descent. But sure, in the meantime, some Americans will benefit from cheaper gasoline prices. It's a bit of a relief that's probably welcome because the price of everything else is going up, even though the government doesn't want to acknowledge that. But there is a downside. There has been a boom in the U.S. energy industry. It's been one of the lone bright spots in an otherwise dismal economic landscape. And oil prices at $60 a barrel, even where they are now, is not good news for the U.S. oil industry. So you would have to look for some cutbacks in production and some layoffs in those sectors, which would obviously provide some downward pressure on the economy as well.
And it's the downward price pressure we're seeing on oil, Peter. You're telling us right now this is an economic indicator looking further into the future of the real headwinds facing the global economy as a whole, and that, as you believe, the U.S. is headed for another recession as a result of all of that.
I do, and I believe that's the game changer in the foreign exchange market. That's what's going to turn the dollar around, and that's going to reverse the decline in oil because a weaker dollar is going to mean higher oil prices. And I also think the QE that we are going to unleash is going to create a bullish feeling worldwide because people, again, will believe that all the money printing from the Fed is going to help stimulate the global economy, and that will feed the demand for oil worldwide.
Well, we'll see what takes place. There's a lot of concern about that. But in the meantime, folks enjoying these low oil prices, but it may be a bellwether of harder times to come. Yeah, Peter Schiff, CEO of Euro Pacific Capital, joining us from San Juan, Puerto Rico. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure. Of course, Morgan, as we've looked at this in the past, anytime things heat up in the Middle East, we've normally seen oil prices go up. Totally different this time around. We see with the ISIS action. So there's a couple other factors. We heard Peter talk about that, the increase in U.S. oil production. But in the meantime, a lot can come in the meantime, but folks might as well enjoy those cheap gases.
I hope he's wrong. I'm enjoying this.
But don't lose sight of what could take place down the road. Always helps to plan. We got much more to come here on Newsmax TV today. Make sure you stick around. John Bachman, Morgan Thompson saying goodbye to you now. But Ed Berliner is joining us in just a few moments with Midpoint. Also, Steve Malsberg coming up later, live from